Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith. Welcome to the Grow Tent, everybody. You have found the best growing channel on YouTube, man. The place where we simplify the approach for you so everyone can learn how to grow. We make it so simple, even I can understand. So I'm going to listen and learn right now.
Woo! Take two. Coming at you. All right, here we go. Happy Friday, everybody. We're doing another video today. I think we dropped one. We're going to be dropping one on Saturday, and then this one will probably be the Sunday drop. So today we're going to talk about a few things. The main thing is going to be why we don't... Oh man, the camera's kind of sideways here. What's going on? Why we don't send sick plants into flower, even though I know some of you will want to. So topic number one will be sick plants and why we don't send them into flower and what we need to do to get them back to health. All right, take three. Topic three will be ugly leaves on seedlings. Is where we're going to talk a little bit about that too, because I get a lot of questions about it, and I cannot get this camera to be straight today. So maybe someday. One of those days, GT. Take five. All right, so we're back. Let's finish up the intro on our fifth take. The first video was nowhere near this amount of problems. The second video, Stan's just not wanting to cooperate. Guys, remember this channel is sponsored by Mars Hydro. If you're looking for any kind of new light, anything like that, use the links in the video description below. Type in WTTGT and that'll give you an extra bit of a discount. You got to use all capital letters, I'm pretty sure. Guys, if you don't know, we got the best Patreon in the game when it comes to this stuff. Make sure you check out our Patreon. We got levels, you know, $1 up, and they all get you direct access to me, one of the best growers on YouTube. All right, what else we got? Guys, remember to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. Watch the entire thing because it helps out the channel a ton. If you don't know, you can still see my plants over on Instagram absolutely free. Or if you want to watch grow videos, you can see them on the Patreon. What else we got? Yeah, if you ever want to see me mess with ball pythons or tarantulas, I got a channel for that too. It's in the video description below. It's called Spartan Pythons and Tarantulas. I know, super original name. All right, guys, let's get today's episode started. Why we don't flower sick plants. All right, here we go. All right, guys, so today's topic, as I was saying, we are going to be talking about why we don't flip plants that are stunted or sick or anything like that, why we don't flip them into flower. And we're going to give some cause and effects if we do. The first thing we have to do is we're going to talk about autos versus photos, whereas I know autos seem easier, but with the autos, if you mess something up, you don't get the chance to fix it before it'll flip itself into flower. An auto is going to do exactly that. It's going to go into flower automatically. So if you have messed something up, if you've overwatered them, you've given them too much light, you're feeding them too much, whatever it is, you underwatered them. It's not underwatered though, I promise. If you did something, there's no chance to fix it. I mean, if you've got a plant that's, 6 inches tall, and it's been 3 to 4 weeks already, that plant is just going to go into flower when it's, whenever it's that big, and it's probably going to die. It might not, but it probably is going to. It's not going to get you anything you like anyway, because it's going to be so little. So there is that problem with the autos, which is why I don't ever recommend them for beginners, is because you don't get a chance. You're going to mess these steps up. You're going to mess some of this stuff up. It's just part of it. So what I always tell people, I'm like, look, hey, if you just start with photos, you don't have to worry about this. But with the autos, it's going to happen, and it's easier to start with photos. And for one, they're cheaper. So that's why I always tell everybody to start with regulars instead of even feminized, is because you're going to mess this stuff up at first. And it's good for you just to go through the regular seed is, is extremely cheap that you can go buy. And so the biggest, if you want to take away one of your hurdles, start with photos. And that way, if the plant is sick or you do mess them up, you'll have the time to fix it. And we're back. Sorry, interruptions, dad life. So with the photos, they do not go into flower automatically. So they don't flower automatically. they are sensitive, so they will not go into flower until you tell them to. You can literally keep photos in veg forever. You can never flower them like mother plants. With mother plants, we don't ever flower them, at least not for a long time. We take a bunch of clones off of them. With the photo period, let's say you've messed up. You've got your light too close. You're like, hey, GT, I'm in like week six of veg, and this plant's just never gotten very tall. It's just like all bunched up together. And then I'm like, well, how strong is your light? How high do you have it turned up? How much, how close do you have it? Because these plants, if you give them too much light, they will never grow up into that light because they're already getting too much in the zone that they're in. So if they grow up taller, they get more than they were already getting, so they won't. So they'll stay down here and they'll stay short. And you're like, oh man, why are my plants always so short and stocky? They don't ever go anywhere. And GTs are, 6 foot freaking tall. How come? And it's because I always keep my light. I run my lights on a progressive, and I keep them at the top of the tent, and that way it allows the plant to grow naturally up into it. And it's an easy problem to fix. Your short plants, it's an easy problem to fix. But you would never keep your plant sick and unhealthy and then flip it into flower. There's nothing good that ever comes from that. So whether you've got short and stocky plants or you've been overwatering and you've just got a stick, what's going to happen whenever you try to flip these into flower is the plant, you don't have a good foundation. Imagine you were trying to build a house and the foundation, you only had half the foundation poured on the house. What's going to happen whenever you try to put an entire house on only a half-done foundation? The exact same thing that's going to happen with this plant. You have to think of your seedling and your veg time as you building your foundation. And flower time is, whenever you get, to put the actual house up. Even though we don't do much during flower, we're just kind of an observer for most of it. So whenever your plant is sick or anything like that, while you're in your seedling or veg, because you've heard it, nobody else is hurting it, it's you. Come on, we got to take some responsibility. We are Spartans after all. And then you try to flip that to flower, it's never a good idea. Plus, plants, after you've been so mean to them for so long, they don't ever grow like a healthy plant would have, which is why you always see me to Spartan them, throw them off the cliff, throw the weak from the cliff. That's exactly what I'm talking about, is actually taking those plants and getting them out of there. Because a healthy plant, even if you had a plant that was in week 4 veg that was sick and stunted, you're like, oh, I can turn it around, I can save it. It's never a good idea to do it, just for the simple fact that you could get a healthy plant to outgrow it by the time, and your end yield, your end results would be better with the healthier plant. I cannot believe this phone battery is getting ready to die. I did not realize I did not charge this yesterday. All right, so that's the first things first is why we it's the main reason we don't flip these unhealthy plants into flower. Well, GT, how do I know if my plant is unhealthy? Well, if it's not branching, if you've got your plant looks like a palm tree, or if all your branches just have a top on the very top and then they're just stick the rest of the way, or they've got gigantic spacings in between the branch sites, those are all indications. If your plant is already yellowing in veg, or has a bunch of weird looking spots on it in veg, that's not something you want to take into flower. It's not going to be a good result. And flower is going to take you 8 weeks, no matter if you have a bad result and your plant doesn't make it, or if you have a good result from like a healthy plant, it's still the exact same amount of time. The time frame is still 8 weeks. And you don't want to, there's like a saying, don't throw good money after bad. Well, it's the same thing with your time. If the plant, you've already wasted, let's say we're just doing autoflowers, and let's say you wasted your 4 weeks in veg, and then you've got, it was a crappy process. Now you've got another 8 weeks in flower. You don't ever want to commit your time to that plant because it's never going to turn out well. The product never turns out well. You're ever growing, you got that light, fluffy, no density bud. Those are all things with show up whenever you have stunted your plants. Every time you stunt these things, it costs you about 20% of your yield. You stun them a few times, that's where all your density goes. That's why your buds don't ever connect. That kind of stuff is from stunting them. And that all comes from how you did your prep work in veg. Because if you don't do it correct in veg, it falters in flower. And this is the reason we're saying we don't flower sick plants. So what else we got? Let's see. Oh yeah, the other subject I was wanting to talk about was I get a ton of emails of pictures. People send me pictures of their seedling, saying their leaves, and you guys, you don't have to worry too much about them whenever they're that little. They don't have a very big root system yet. Whenever you're talking about seedlings or little baby plants, and they're like, oh man, my leaves are they're twisted a little bit this way or that way. They will grow out of it, I promise. Don't read too much into it. I really don't start reading my leaves till I'm about my second week of veg, just because whether you're doing clones or you're doing seeds, they're really going through a change whenever they're doing that. So don't pay attention too much to the leaves. As far as this little seedling leaf has it's a little yellow circle on it, or the tip of it's starting to burn. Don't worry about it. The root system just is not there. So, if they can't find something in their media that they're in right away, they'll just instantly turn on their leaves because they know they have it built into it. So, the root system will catch up, and as long as you're there to help it, the root system will catch up, and they will be okay. I promise you. No more stressed out emails about seedling, little tiny seedling leaves. I promise it'll be okay. And you'll get through it. And so will the plant. Just stay the course, relax, calm down, focus. I promise it'll be better. All right. So there's not much to talk about seedling leaves. They're like, if they're curled or yellow, or they're crisping on the ends. I promise you the plant will grow out of it. So don't stress about it. All right. I think that'll do it for today's second episode, and this one will probably drop on I think Sunday or something. All right, I'll see you guys later. Peace. GT out.